Hello, Tanya Rowland here. I wanted to jump online today to start talking about the rise of the side hustle. And, at the start of 2018, I think it's quite a pertinent topic or a very relevant topic. So, first of all, I'm an online entrepreneur and a digital marketing consultant. And I've had about 15 plus years working for international companies, corporations, working in sales and marketing. But my move away from the corporate job actually started with a side hustle. And so it's something that I feel has real ability to enable people to create change and to get what they're looking for. And today I want to talk about what is a side hustle, first of all, and why you might want to pursue one. So I've got some notes on my screen. So if you see me looking at my computer, that's why. And if you've got any questions, I'm new to Facebook Live, but if I see anybody jump in and you have some questions, be patient with me and I'll see if I can spot anything that you post. So first of all, what is a side hustle? A side hustle is when somebody has a full-time job and they take on an activity on the side to that with ultimately the goal to generate an income. So different to a part-time job, a side hustle is something that you control and you're the boss of, or you have some independence with it. Often people will take on a side hustle that they ultimately maybe aren't looking for financial return, but they have, in a sense, something like a hobby that they want to channel their creative input to, and they want to see if, when they put it out in the world, if people like it. So often we'll see people who are blogging and writing, and even though they may not be earning income, and maybe they'd like to one day, it becomes their side hustle. So, really, side hustle is a phrase that has only come about in the last few years. And even though people have been doing it for a long time, it's becoming quite a realistic thing for many people to do, or a sort of a given or a standard. If we look at some statistics about the side hustle, so there are a number of research, but I've just grabbed data from a few places. So this data told us that, and from memory this was more Australian focused, I'm here in New Zealand, but the data is pretty much the same in American data I looked at and data here, that 29% of workers currently already have a side hustle. And of that amount, 44% of them are millennials. So very much what we're seeing is that if, for millennials, if you're a millennial, then you're probably sort of assuming that you'll probably have a side hustle. Maybe you really like your Instagram feed, you like photography, maybe you have you love the Kardashians, or there's certain things that you really gravitate to. And you want to share that through social media, and you've grown up with these tools. So it's quite a normal thing for you and your friends to be doing something beyond your job. 63% of millennials want to start their own business. So, I grew up with I had a very commercial background. I very much wanted to be in the corporate world, but didn't have that desire initially for my own business, even though I wanted independence. And the reason I have ended up taking on a side hustle and going out on my own is, for me, then independence translated into having my own business. But that wasn't my goal. But what we are seeing is that for a lot of you, you are seeing it as very feasible to start your own business. The world we live in today has less roadblocks to starting something. The problem with that is just because we can start it doesn't mean we'll be successful. And often when there's less roadblocks, we don't think through how to create something that will give us a return. So one thing that I definitely see is, and I'm definitely guilty of this, we start a project and it's something to express our creative talents, but we've really not thought through how this will make us money. And ultimately, for a lot of us, we are doing these things to lead to something else. So I just flag that with you as well, that if you are sitting there coming into this year and thinking, this is the year I'm going to start something, don't be afraid to actually say, I want to make money out of this, and really think through a strategy that will enable you to do that. It could even be as simple as maybe what you want to pursue won't make you money, but you need to validate that and then make some decisions. So, based on the stats though, if you are thinking of starting a side hustle, then you're not going to be alone. It's not the unusual thing anymore, it's becoming the normal. So why would you pursue a side hustle? Apart from what we've talked about with creating extra income, what are there other merits to creating a side hustle? And I genuinely think there are. I think often today in the jobs that we have, even if you work for a very good company, often you don't get the stretch you're looking for. And that is one of the reasons you end up looking for a side hustle. You get bored quickly. I know for me, I was 20 years ago, at the 18-month mark, I was moving on and I was unusual. But that is not unusual today. We expect to be stretched and challenged. Sometimes we're a little bit impatient, but ultimately we want more. And when we pursue a side hustle, we feel like we can continue that growth and development in a way and drive it in a way that we're looking for. So yes, earning more money, but the side hustle can really help you get greater strengths and skills. Good from a life perspective if you're looking for more, but also good within your current job. I know that I had worked in very senior marketing roles and in the digital environment, but when I started my side hustle, which was in the online environment, I learned so much there that I applied to my day job and was exposed to thinking that the corporate world doesn't consider. And from my point of view, that added an element of an extra layer. It meant that I could think differently and see things differently and have different solutions. I wasn't coming from the same box of knowledge. So definitely starting a side hustle can be fantastic for building your skills. Also, once you start to create some money from your side hustle, you feel a little bit more confident. And maybe your insecurity about your job, because the reality is we don't feel secure in our jobs a lot of the time. You then start to feel a little bit more secure and stable. And an outcome of that could be that when you have an additional income, then you feel braver in your current job. Maybe you're not so afraid to speak up and be more courageous and take on different types of projects, because if you fail, which isn't a bad thing at all, but often the corporate world will penalise us for that. You're not so concerned about that because you have a plan B. So security is it's a wise thing. None of us should, assume that we will always be in our job. Even if you don't want to stay in it, the data used to tell us that you can expect at least 2 career changes in your lifetime. I've been made redundant, I think, twice now, and both times didn't expect it. And I've been in jobs where I needed to leave quickly because they were not a good fit for me. So we shouldn't assume anything, and we should always have be in more control of, our choices. So security, skills, money. But the other thing is that, we can get in a role and it's maybe not ideal for us, or we can't see the career path. We don't want to stay in the corporate world. So your side hustle can be that transition to something else without jeopardizing your income, and which is what I did. But it can also be a great expression of any creative skills or talents that you have. Maybe you want to test something first and you're not sure how the world's going to respond. But it's a great way for you to, sometimes we can be in a job that we love, but we have another set of skills that we want to express. And so the side hustle can be that, you might be an accountant by day, but really love photography. There's lots of great merits to having that side hustle. So basically the other thing is that, if you're a bit of an entrepreneur, maybe you don't think of yourself as an entrepreneur, but maybe you're that rebel in the workplace, then your side hustle is a real way for you to feel independent and also to build community around you of like-minded people. So, are you considering a side hustle this year? If you are, I'd love you to post in the comments and also let me know what's holding you back from starting. We tend to overthink things and, overanalyze before we take those first steps. So I'd love to know if there's anything that's holding you back, or in your mind what you think that is. And tomorrow I'm going to jump online again, and I'd really like to talk about the misconceptions about a side hustle. Sometimes our thought patterns that stop us from doing it about what we think a side hustler needs to be. So I really want to talk to some of those misconceptions so that you don't have biases that are holding you back from what could end up being the best thing you could do for yourself this year. All right. Thank you. Glad I got that first Facebook Live out of the way. Love to hear your feedback, and talk tomorrow.